Saint Augustine commentary on the Gospel of John, chapter 16, following. And you have believed, he adds, that I come out from God. I came forth from the Father, and am come into the world. Again, I leave the world and go to the Father. Clearly we have believed, for surely it ought not to be accounted a thing incredible because of this, that in coming to the world he came forth in such a sense from the Father that he did not leave the Father behind, and that on leaving the world he goes to the Father in such a sense that he does not actually forsake the world. For he came forth from the Father because he is of the Father. And he came into the world, in showing to the world his bodily form, which he had received of the Virgin. He left the world by a bodily withdrawal. He proceeded to the Father by his ascension as man, but he forsook not the world in the ruling activity of his presence. Chapter 16, verse 29 to 33, Tractatus 103. The inward state of Christ's disciples, when before his passion he talked with them as with the children of great things, but in such a way as befitted the great things to be spoken to children, because having not yet received the Holy Spirit, as they did after his resurrection, either by his own breathing upon them, or by descent from above, they had a mental capacity for the human rather than the divine. He is everywhere declared through the prophets by numerous testimonies, and of a piece therewith is what they said in the lesson before us. For, says the evangelist, his disciples say unto him, Lo, now speak you plainly, and utter no proverb. Now we are such that you know all things. Now we are sure that you know all things, and need not that any man should ask you. By this we believe that you came forth from God. The Lord himself has said shortly before, These things have I spoken unto you in Proverbs. The hour comes when I shall no more speak to you in Proverbs. How then, say they, Lo, now speak you plainly, and utter no proverb? Was the hour indeed already come when he had promised that he would no more speak unto them in Proverbs? Certainly that such an hour had not yet come is shown by the continuation of his words, which run in this way. These things, said he, have I spoken unto you in Proverbs. The hour comes when I shall no more speak unto you in Proverbs, but I shall show you plainly of my Father. At that day you shall ask in my name, and I say not unto you that I will pray the Father for you. For the Father himself loves you, because you have loved me, and have believed that I came out from God. I came forth from the Father, and have come into the world. Again I leave the world, and go to the Father. Seeing that throughout all these words he is still promising that hour when he shall no more speak in Proverbs, but shall show them openly of the Father, the hour when he says that they will ask in his name, and that he will not pray the Father for them, on the ground that the Father himself loves them, and that they also have loved Christ and have believed that he came forth from the Father, and was come into the world, and was again about to leave the world and go to the Father. When thus that hour is still the subject of promise when he was to speak without proverbs, why, say they, Lo, now speak you plainly and utter no proverb? But just because those things which he knows to be proverbs to those who have no understanding, they are still so far from understanding that they do not even understand that they do not understand them. For they were babes and had as yet no spiritual discernment of what they heard regarding things they had to do not with the body but with the spirit. And still further, admonishing them of their age as still small and infirm in regard to the inner man, Jesus answered them, Do you now believe? Behold, the hour comes, yea, is now come, that you shall be scattered every man to his own, and shall leave me alone. And yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. He had said shortly before, I leave the world and go to the Father. Now he says, the Father is with me, who goes to him, who is with him. This is a word to him that understands, a proverb to him that understands not, and yet in such a way that what at present is unintelligible to babes is in some sort sucked in. And even though it yield them not solid food, which they can't as yet receive, it denies them not at least a milky diet. It was from this diet that they drew the knowledge that he knew all things, and needed not that anyone should ask him. And indeed, why they said this is a topic worthy of inquiry. For one would think they ought rather to have said, You did not to ask anyone, not that anyone should ask you. They had just said, We are sure that you know all things. And surely he that knows all things is accustomed rather to be questioned by those who do not know, that in reply to their questions they may hear what they wish from him who knows all things, and not to be himself the questioner, as if wishing to know something when he knows all things. What then are we to understand by this? That when apparently they ought to have said to him whom they knew to be omniscient, You need not to talk any man, they considered it more befitting to say, You need not that any man should ask you. Yea, is it not the case that we read of both being done, to wit, that the Lord both asked and was asked questions? But this latter is speedily answered. For this was needful not for him, but for those rather whom he questioned, or by whom he was questioned. For he never questioned any for the purpose of learning anything from them, but for the purpose rather